Hey, badass business owners. If you are listening to this podcast episode in real time, we are getting towards the end of the year, and this is where you need to make some important decisions about your pricing. This is the best time to be able to step back and take a look at your pricing and decide, do you need to raise your prices this coming year? The reason that you want to do it right now is most people expect for prices to go up at the beginning of the year. Now, granted, in today's environment, prices have been going up like crazy and people are expecting them all the time. But it's very normal for people to take a look at their pricing and say, hey, we tried to keep our pricing where it's at. Unfortunately, we're going to have to make some adjustments for the upcoming year, and we just want to go ahead and let you know about it. And this way, if you have customers that are regular or you have like a reoccurring business, you can communicate this to the clients 30, 60 days out by just letting them know that saying, hey, just want to let you know that our prices are going to be going up $5, $10, $20, whatever it is that you need to do in the coming year. But here's the cool thing. You can also use it to generate some sales for you at the back half of the year by offering them, if they want to purchase the first 3 months of the coming year at the old pricing, they can go ahead and prepay for that service at the lower price if they want to do it. It's a great way to generate some additional income in November and December. Now, each of you are a little bit different when it comes to your type of business. The biggest thing that I want you to do is I want you to step back and say, are my prices hitting my targets? While I understand that there's a lot of factors that go into your pricing, it's important that you have a business that can make money. It doesn't help your cause to make money if you are priced in a way that causes you to lose money every single month or to barely scrape by. Sometimes it's your pricing. Sometimes it's your product mix that you're selling too much of one thing that doesn't make money and not enough of something else where you make lots of money. A lot of times what happens is we chase sales as opposed to looking at what's the profit from those sales. Now, I'm not saying everything that you sell needs to make a lot of money, but it needs to have a good complement to where some of your items are making you really good money to help offset the ones that you have to price a little bit lower due to competition or a top on that price. But here's another factor that I need you to make sure you take in mind. Sometimes when we think that we've capped out the price, that's more internal than it is external. What do I mean by that? It is you in your head saying, hey, I can't charge more than this. I don't feel comfortable charging more than this. These people aren't going to pay more than this. You come up with every reason in the book in order to not price that way, as opposed to saying, hey, for the great value and service, what are people willing to pay? When they have that pain point, are they willing to pay this amount of money? That's really what you need to look at as you are thinking about what are you going to price your products and service at. Plus, if you have not taken any price changes over the past year, you're foolish not to, because there's no way that with everything that has gone up in price that you do not have factors that have caused your costs and expenses to also go up. And it's important that you make sure that you're adjusting your prices every single year. That doesn't mean you won't come back down at some point if needed, but it does mean that you need to make sure that your pricing is correct for the environment and the world that we're in today. And I get that a lot of people worry they're going to lose customers. Well, if you're going to lose customers right now, the problem is you're going to lose them one way or another, because if somebody has to tighten up their belt and they're going to tighten up that belt, whether it's a $5 change, $3 change, or no change, in which case they're probably not going to be purchasing your products or services anyways until they can get into a better financial situation. You really have to look at your particular business to ask, is that relevant to me? Because sometimes when you have a product or a service that's a necessity, something that people need, they're going to continue to use you. Yes, they may shop around. Yes, they may look at other things, but they're going to continue to be out there for you to be able to say, hey, this is why you want to use us. This is the value that we provide, etc., etc. While there's some people out there that are nice to haves. For example, I have a friend who ended up taking a big pay cut. Now, part of what they have to do in their household is they have to go back and say, hey, what are the nice to have things that we have had going on over the last few years versus the necessities, in which case they started putting things into buckets. So if it's something that is just minor, that a service that they have someone provide for them that they can do themselves, it has to go. But if it's something that, yes, they could do themselves, but they really aren't good at it, they don't want to do it, then they've prioritized that a little bit higher than something else that they could do. Same thing with products. If there's a product that somebody has, they might want the nicer of that product. When times get tough, they tend to go with the lesser of that same thing. So it's that whole good, better, best, that sometimes if somebody's always buying your best, make sure you have a plan. Is there something that they can get that might be good, or just, maybe not quite the same, but still can help hit their needs? That's something else that you can look at, because it's something that you can still make a good profit on. There's a lot of factors that go into your pricing and what makes a good price. It just is a good time of the year. Whenever you start getting into late October, early November, it's always a great time to sit down and look at your history of what's happened for the first 10 months and what has been the trend with your cost of goods and your expenses as you progress through the year. It's a good time to sit down and say, okay, what are my competitors doing? Have they been raising their prices? Have they been making changes? It's a good time to just sit down and look at that entire pricing strategy that you have. Maybe you want a good, better, best. Maybe you want to put together packages. Maybe you want to say, hey, I just need to look at these particular items and I need to stop offering these products or these services because I just don't sell enough and or I just don't make enough money. It's really not just your pricing. It really has to do with the entire category of what it is that you sell. Are they priced correctly? Do you really need it? And how much money are you making from it? Because just because you have it doesn't mean you need it. Yes, somebody might ask for it, but if you only sell it twice a year, you do not need it. You do not need to hold that inventory, nor do you need to have that fancy equipment that goes along with you doing it. It's all about making sure that you always keep those cost of goods and expenses as tight as you can. You keep your pricing correctly, but at the same time, you're also not throwing away money. If it is something that you've gone out and you've done, it is what it is. So you have to ask yourself, what do I need to do to help that sell or to make money from that particular item that I bought? Or it could be just saying, hey, call it a loss and say, all right, I'm going to sell this to someone else and get back as much of my money as I can. Or I'm going to stop offering this, even though I've offered it in the last year. It really was a bust. It didn't really take off. I need to get rid of it. It might be where you say, I'm going to start grouping people together and seeing if I can do groups of people for one price versus individuals for one price. Maybe you teach people something on how to do it and you do it individually. Maybe you can offer some group classes and still charge the same amount of money or just a little bit less, but now your expenses go down because you are one person who can help multiple people at a time versus having to have multiple hours for different people. There's so many different ways to look at your pricing. It really is just a matter of sitting down and putting pen to paper. What happens is we start thinking about it in our head versus sitting down at a table and actually just going line by everything that we offer, whether it's a service or a product, and looking at the cost of goods and saying, is this priced correctly? Look at the sales that you've had for the year. Do you sell enough of it? I could go on and on about this entire pricing thing, and I don't want to do that because I don't want to bore you. The important thing is it's the end of the year. Now is the time to sit down and look at your pricing, look at your product mix, and ask yourself what changes need to be made. And then ask yourself, do I need to communicate this to my customers? Some of you don't have to do that. I mean, if you're a store or a storefront, you don't have to do that. If you're a once and done type of service, you don't have to do that. But if you have a reoccurring business, yeah, you need to reach out to your clients and let them know that, hey, at the first of the year, the prices are going to go up $5, $10, $20, whatever it is that you determine. And by the way, never underestimate just even a small $5 increase, because that $5 increase is either going to cover costs that you never covered when they went up, or B, put additional profit in your pocket because your costs have remained the same. But now that extra $5 starts to add up based off of how many people that you serve. And for most people, they're not going to walk away from your services or products over $5. Well, unless, of course, it's $5 and you're taking it up $5 to $10. That's a little different. But you know what I mean. Going from $40 to $45 is going to make them cringe a little bit, but they're going to continue to use your product or your service. So it's a good time, like I said, to sit down, make a plan, make sure you're set up for the best success that you can have in the coming year. Because I'm telling you, The time to do this is not in next year because you're going to be in the middle of it. You're going to be running around like a chicken with your head cut off, and you're not going to have the time or energy to sit down and do this deep dive that you could be doing right now in the slower months before the season takes off. It's a perfect time of the year to do it. So please do me a favor, sit down, take a deep dive into your pricing, look at your product mix, and make sure that you're setting yourself up for success in the coming months. And by the way, don't forget that if you want to learn more about your business numbers during these slower months, check out the Know Your Business Numbers course in the show notes, where I'll walk you through how to read and understand your profit and loss statement. I'll help explain what cash flow is, what a balance sheet is, all of that good stuff for a very affordable price. Just check out the show notes below if you're interested in taking a look at that. And with that, I'm out of here, and I want you guys to get out there, kick some major butt, and I will talk to you on the next episode. Bye for now.